Some breaking news this morning here on Titans Today, if not a bit of a surprise breaking news scenario. Jamal Adams has signed a one-year deal with the Tennessee Titans to add depth at safety and maybe linebacker as well. We'll break down the signing here. News broken, I believe it was by Tom Downey. He was the first one I saw have it, that they've agreed to terms. Reuniting with Denard Wilson, who was his defensive backs coach during his Pro Bowl campaigns in 2019 and 2018. Not the only connection between the organization, coaching staff-wise, front office-wise, and the player. Schefter is the one who's broken this as a one-year deal. Adams' agent, Kevin Conner, confirmed it. Now, of note here, which is kind of a small world, and maybe more than that, Conner represented Titans GM Ran Carthon way back when Carthon played in the NFL. And then Ran Carthon's father, Maurice, and Jamal Adams' father, George, were teammates together back with the New York Giants. So kind of a small world after all scenario there. When news happens involving the Tennessee Titans, we will have you guys covered. We had a different video planned today. It'll go out later. It's already been filmed. It does slightly get impacted, but we'll deal with it. Hit that sub button if you want more free Titans YouTube videos right here on the channel. I think to an extent, this one kind of feels like it came out of nowhere. You know, we'd spent time on players like Justin Simmons. I had wondered if maybe Quandre Diggs would have been a better fit for Tennessee. They decided to go with the Jamal Adams route, which we'll break this all down in depth momentarily. Don't you guys worry. I do think this means probably not going to sign Justin Simmons. I'd be a little surprised if they added 2 veteran safeties. I thought another one was needed. But I think by picking Adams, we'll see what the money looks like. Probably going to be pretty cheap. Probably less than what Justin Simmons, in fact, I think it will be less than what Simmons will inevitably get from somebody on the open market. I think that kind of takes you out of the running for him. Just give me your one-word reaction to the signing of Jamal Adams. One word and one word only. That ad comes on the YouTube side, not a problem. Head down there, go vote, and let me know what your one-word reaction is. My one word is surprise, because I am a little surprised this is the player they chose to sign. I wasn't anticipating Jamal Adams in Tennessee. I thought they would add a safety at some point. Not the one I would have bet in the end. Now, my other one word here is depth, because I don't think Jamal Adams starts in Tennessee. I think you got better options and more position flexibility with Amani Hooker and Elijah Molden. Jamal Adams cannot play free safety anymore. He is simply not able to do that. In fact, he might be more of a linebacker than he is a safety, which we'll come back to more in depth here momentarily as well. But I did think you needed another option at safety. And Adams can be your first guy up off the bench. You can use 3 safety looks with him and use him as a box player because that's who he is at this stage of his NFL career. And in a way, kind of who he's always been. He has missed time the last several seasons. In fact, injuries have been a really big problem for Jamal Adams since the Seahawks, we can say it comfortably now, vastly overpaid for him. Now, he had missed a couple of games in his time with the Jets, 16 games, just 14 games, was still a first-team All-Pro, ends up getting paid, and then missed time every year. 12 games in his 4 seasons in Seattle is the most he played. Now, he had success in 2020 as a blitzer. He had 9.5 sacks. It was awesome. And then he hasn't had a sack since then, which is kind of crazy to think about. He had the Blitz Boy moniker, which I argue isn't even a bad thing. Oh no, he's getting sacks? How is that a negative? Never really understood that. But that guy hasn't been available on the field for several years. I don't know if Seattle used him properly. I'm curious how Denard Wilson will choose to use him. He had great success with him in New York when he was the DB's coach. He wasn't the play caller, though. There's a lot that I'm curious to see how this ends up playing out in training camp, knowing we're not going to see Adams play in the preseason. So grade the signing for me of Jamal Adams. A, B, C, D, or F. Go ahead and sound off for me in the comment section of today's show. Adams has always been at his best around the football in the box, not as a deep coverage safety, not necessarily as a coverage guy. We'll get to that more in depth in a minute. 7 tackles for loss in 2023 was the most he had combined, or more combined than he had the previous 2 years in more games. He had 4 tackles for loss in 2021 and 2022. That boosted to 7 in the 2023 campaign. He can still be a decent tackler. The big issue you run into here with Jamal Adams is coverage. He's just not great at it. He's not really a tight end eraser. He's more of a box run supporter. Can blitz. I hope that, honestly, they should let him blitz more. He kind of stopped being a blitz player, which, like his 2020 campaign, he had 98 blitzes. He got to 67 combined the last 3 seasons. Like, I just don't think that's properly utilizing him. So I would like to see Adams be hidden, for lack of a better word, in coverage. I think that maximizes his skill set and hides his weaknesses more than anything else. And I think you have to figure out really what his actual role is. I don't think he starts at safety over, Amani Hooker or probably more Elijah Molden. We'll see how that ends up playing. I wonder if he just becomes that classic safety linebacker hybrid type of player. So where do you think Jamal Adams should play? S for safety, LB for linebacker, acknowledging that the lines between strong safety and inside linebacker have become blurred these days. Sound off in the comments of today's show. The Titans have Kenneth Murray. They paid him decent money. They have Jack Gibbons. They drafted Cedric Ray and James Williams. Maybe in the end, if you want to group like, the middle 4, I'll call it, like the back middle 4 of your 2 safeties and your 2 linebackers, when you're, utilizing those base packages or rotating in some big nickel, big dime, maybe Adams ends up being like your 3rd or 4th guy off, or your 1st or 2nd guy off the bench, and like your 5th or 6th guy overall, right? Because you're going to start 2 linebackers. In theory, maybe you start your 2 safeties, and you make Adams a box player and deploy him in blitz packages and run support scenarios, and try not like he's not a tight end eraser. That's not who he is as a football player. I think he can still help if healthy. I don't think he's the same caliber of player he was at his prime. I don't think he's as good as Justin Simmons, but for a team that I do think needed safety depth, they didn't have enough there. For a team that maybe has some question marks about, hey, who's going to be our main guy at inside linebacker, depth position stuff there, if the young guys don't emerge, I do think adding another box player made some sense. But I've signed Justin Simmons first? Yeah, probably. But maybe Adams is more on board with whatever role is being planned in Tennessee. So I am interested to see how this plays out, because it's not the route that I necessarily would have gone. But I think you can make it work, and I do trust Denard Wilson and Ran Carthon. Specifically, Denard Wilson knows Jamal Adams, knows how to get the best out of him, right? So I'm interested to see how that all plays out. Now, we will have another video for you guys this weekend. I'm not going to give it away. It was specifically about a rookie I think no one's talking about. I do think that the Adams signing kind of makes it a little bit less likely he makes the impact I was hoping for, but I think it's still a good video and worth having a fun discussion about. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on for that video coming out later this weekend/Friday.